This will change the way you see yourself forever. The voice that lies to you. You know that voice, right? The one that shows up the second you picture doing something bold, asking for a raise, starting the side project you've been dreaming about, or posting an opinion that might ruffle feathers. It whispers, "You'll look stupid." They'll laugh. "Sit back down." Here's the thing. Most advice says you should scream louder than the voice, drown it out with motivational playlists or pep talks in the mirror. But what if the real power isn't in out yelling it, but in understanding it? What if the voice isn't proof of your weakness, but proof you've forgotten how strong you already are? Because here's the truth. 97 out of 100 people can name a moment just this past week when they talked themselves out of an opportunity before even starting. That's not weakness, that's conditioning. And if nearly everyone hears the critic, then the difference between those who stay stuck and those who soar isn't about never hearing it. It's about knowing how to answer it. And that's where the Stoics come in, those sandal-wearing, empire-ruling, wisdom-writing philosophers who cracked this code 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca. Their words weren't meant for dusty libraries. They were survival guides in the messiness of real life, wars, plagues, betrayals. By the end of this talk, you'll have 3 ancient keys tested for centuries, still razor-sharp, that unlock a completely different way of seeing yourself. Keys that prove you were never powerless, only forgetful. So let's stop shouting over the critic. Let's start showing it why it's been lying to you since day one. Section 1. The first key, the inner citadel. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." On paper, that looks inspiring, but in real life, let's be honest, someone on the internet calls you talentless, and suddenly your chest is tight, your focus is gone, and your whole day feels ruined. The Stoics pictured the mind as a fortress, a walled city they called the Inner Citadel. And here's the twist. You're not just the resident of that city, you're the gatekeeper. Every thought, every comment, every insult has to cross the drawbridge. And you decide, does it get in or does it stay out? Think about the last time you let something in that didn't deserve to live rent-free in your head. Maybe it was a passive-aggressive email from a client. Maybe it was a family member questioning your choices. Whatever it was, the event itself wasn't what broke you down. What hurt was the story you attached to it in the half-second afterward. This means, I'm not good enough. This proves I'll never get it right. This shows they don't respect me. That half-second story is where the real battle happens. Train yourself to notice it, and suddenly the gate doesn't swing open for every passing critic. Here's how you practice. It's called the evening review. Tonight, before you're too tired to care, grab a notebook, a napkin, even the Notes app on your phone. Jot down one emotional hit from today. For example, email from client. I assumed they hate me. Then ask yourself 2 quick questions. 1. Was the event itself in my control? 2. What story would serve me better? Maybe the better story is, client had a busy day and wrote bluntly, "That's about them, not me." That's it. 2 questions. Do it for 7 nights in a row, and you'll feel it. The drawbridge gets heavier. Not for you, for everyone else. Here's why this works. Your brain is constantly rehearsing. If you don't interrupt it, it rehearses panic, defensiveness, and self-blame. But if you step in just once a day, you teach it to rehearse strength instead. Over time, the critic still knocks, but the gate stays shut. And here's my challenge. If you're actually going to try this tonight, type the word "tonight" in the comments. I'll pin a tiny template you can screenshot in 2 seconds. Let's make the fortress real, starting now. Section 2. The second key. Know Thyself. The second key is one of the oldest phrases in philosophy: know thyself. Socrates carried it like a banner, but here's the catch: it wasn't meant as a cozy affirmation. It was a weapon, because when that inner critic pipes up, "You're not enough, you'll fail. Who do you think you are?" Most of us respond the wrong way. We argue, "Yes, I am enough. No, I won't fail." But notice what happens. We're still debating on the critic's turf. We've already accepted its authority by treating it like it's speaking the truth. The Stoic approach: curiosity. Picture the critic not as some divine judge, but as a cranky neighbor banging on your door at 11 p.m. with a list of your so-called flaws. Most people slam the door or start yelling back. Instead, try something radical. Invite them in for tea. Sit them down and ask, "Whose voice is this really?" 9 times out of 10, you'll realize the critic isn't even yours. It's a ventriloquist. Maybe it's a teacher who humiliated you in class. Maybe it's a parent who thought constant criticism was the only form of love. Maybe it's an ex who felt safer when you were small. Over time, those voices sneak into your head and put on a mask that says, "me." But once you see the mask, the power evaporates. Recognition is kryptonite. So how do you train this? With a tiny daily drill: 5-second thought labeling. Here's how it works. The next time you're stuck in traffic, waiting in an elevator, or standing in line at the grocery store, just notice what's rattling around in your head, and instead of diving in, silently tag it. Worrying, judging, replaying, comparing. You're not trying to stop the clouds from passing overhead. You're just pointing and saying, "Cloud." That's it. Do this once or twice a day for a month, and the repeat offenders start to stand out like bullies in neon jackets. You'll catch yourself saying, "Ah, there's that comparison loop again. I know you." And in that recognition, the voice loses its bite. Here's my challenge for you. Try it today, just once. Tag one thought instead of believing it, then drop a comment. What label shows up the most in your head? Is it worrying, judging, replaying the past? I read every single one, and I promise you'll be surprised at how universal your answers are. Remember, the goal isn't to silence the voice. The goal is to recognize it, unmask it, and take back the steering wheel. That's knowing yourself in action. Section 3, the third key. Action as identity. The third key is maybe the hardest pill to swallow. You don't become confident by thinking confident thoughts. You become confident by stacking evidence, tiny, repeatable actions that your critic can't argue with. Heraclitus, a pre-Stoic philosopher, put it bluntly: character is destiny. Modern translation: who you are isn't what you intend, it's what you consistently do. Think of identity like a bank account. Every action you take is a deposit or withdrawal. The critic screams, "You're not disciplined." But if you've got a pile of receipts, moments where you kept a promise to yourself, the voice gets quieter because the evidence speaks louder. The Stoics had a phrase for this: voluntary discomfort. Do hard things on purpose, not because you enjoy suffering, but because you're proving to yourself that comfort doesn't get a vote. Seneca, one of Rome's richest men, used to sleep on the floor once a month and eat only bread and water. Why? To remind himself, if this is what I fear, it's not so bad. I can handle it. Epictetus, born a slave, walked with a limp his whole life and still trained his students by saying, "You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus himself can overpower my will." Now, you don't need to sleep on concrete or chain yourself to a philosophy lecture. Voluntary discomfort can be embarrassingly small. Take a cold shower for 30 seconds. Do 10 push-ups before scrolling Instagram. Say no to the extra dessert when your brain is begging for sugar. These aren't punishments, they're ballots. Quiet votes for the identity. I keep promises to myself. Stack enough of those votes, and suddenly your self-image shifts. You stop saying, "I hope I'll be disciplined someday." You start saying, "I'm the kind of person who shows up no matter what." Here's your micro-challenge. Pick one tiny discomfort you can repeat daily for 30 days. Make it so small it feels almost silly to skip. Maybe it's 50 wall push-ups. Maybe it's journaling one sentence. Maybe it's rinsing your face with cold water every morning. Then, this is key, track it. Write "Day 1 done" in the comments and keep showing up. The public thread becomes your quiet accountability buddy. After 30 days, you'll look back and realize something wild. The critic still talks, but it sounds smaller, weaker, like background static. Why? Because your actions, the real data, proved it wrong. Identity isn't built in your head. It's built in motion. Section 4. Putting the keys together. The chain reaction. All right, let's put this into a live fire situation. Imagine you've got a huge presentation tomorrow morning. Maybe it's at work, maybe it's pitching your side project, maybe it's just standing up in front of classmates. The critic is on blast. You're going to choke. They'll see right through you. You're not ready. Your chest tightens. Your brain starts running disaster reels. You want to bail. This is where the 3 keys chain together. Key 1. The inner citadel. First, you separate what's yours from what's not. You can't control whether the audience yawns or whether your boss checks her phone mid-sentence. But you can control whether your opening is rehearsed and clear. You can control your posture, your breath, your pacing. The drawbridge goes up on every thought you can't command. Suddenly, the battlefield is smaller and manageable. Key 2. Know thyself. Next, you notice the critic's soundtrack. I always tank presentations. That's not a prophecy, it's a story. Label it, replaying past failure. Once it's tagged, it loses its grip. You've moved the voice from the driver's seat to the passenger's side. Key 3. Action as identity. Now it's time to prove something. Do one more practice run. Even if your palms are sweating, even if your voice cracks, do it anyway. That single rep is another vote for the identity. I prepare under pressure. See what happened. Fear didn't vanish. It just lost the steering wheel. You walked yourself from panic to preparation in 3 moves. And here's the bigger win. The next time you're in a similar storm, whether it's a job interview, a tough conversation, or stepping into a gym for the first time, your brain already has the blueprint. The critic shows up, but now you've got the keys. This is the chain reaction the Stoics wanted us to see. When you combine these tools, self-doubt stops being a brick wall and turns into a training ground. Every what if becomes an opportunity to practice, and practice isn't glamorous, but it's how you rewire the nervous system. One situation at a time, one lock after another, until the critic's power shrinks and your own expands. Conclusion. The keys were yours all along. You came here looking for hacks, maybe a trick to silence that inner critic once and for all. But here's the truth. The voice never completely disappears, and that's okay. The power comes from remembering you've got the keys to decide what it does and what it doesn't. Key 1 taught you about the inner citadel, that your mind is the fortress and you're the gatekeeper. No comment, no criticism, no snarky tweet gets in unless you drop the drawbridge. Key 2 gave you Know Thyself, the reminder that half of those cruel whispers don't even belong to you. They're old scripts, borrowed voices. When you label them, you shrink them. Key 3 showed you action as identity, the quiet ballots you cast every single day. The cold shower, the skipped dessert, the 5 push-ups, tiny deposits that add up to unshakable confidence. Now imagine what 7 days of practicing these would do. 7 nights of jotting down one emotional hit and reframing it. 7 random moments of labeling the thought instead of wrestling it. 7 tiny discomforts logged and done. By next week, you won't just feel a little stronger, you'll have receipts. 7 tangible pieces of evidence that the voice was wrong about you every single day. That's not motivation, that's memory. And here's the last truth I want you to leave with. The critic isn't proof that you're broken, it's proof that you're human. Every emperor, every general, every philosopher faced it too. The difference between those who stayed small and those who grew into their power was simple. They practiced with the keys. So here's your challenge. Tonight, do the evening review. Tomorrow, label one thought. This week, pick one discomfort and repeat it daily. That's it, not theory practice. If even one sentence tonight reminded you of your strength, hit subscribe, because remembering who you are isn't a one-time event, it's a daily discipline. And I drop new tools every Tuesday to keep sharpening the blade. Comment below with the word tonight if you're in. I'll know you've decided to put the keys in your own hand. The fortress is already yours. The gatekeeper is already you. The only question left is, will you step inside,